Welcome back to the new professional StarCraft 2. Let me introduce to you the player in the blue in the bottom right. Not the Protoss that we deserve, but the Protoss we need in this trying time. The Protoss we need right now. It's the smiling assassin. It's herO. If anyone is going to show us the light against a player who it seems like this new balance patch is almost specifically tailored for. One of the few players who's played mech against Protoss in the past and still makes it look good. It is the Admiral. It's GuMiho facing off against him. Very interested to see how this best of 5 TVP goes with the somewhat abrupt addition of a new balance patch to StarCraft 2. I will detail some of the changes momentarily, and of course you can watch my admittedly lengthy video. But if you like admittedly lengthy videos, hopefully you'll like this one as well. Jimmy, what are we at? No, nothing for the new... 1,145 likes. If we get 1,145 likes, I'll cast another series. And with all these new games and new meta and new clickbait opportunities, I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. Hopefully you reserve your comments and criticisms and dramatic conclusions about the new balance patch, at least for a little while. Though I would love to hear them by the end. But... hopefully it's about to get a little bit better as we're working our way too. But GuMiho versus herO, TVP. I said it and I meant it, that GuMiho is one of the most creative players, and now this is meant as a compliment, as one of the slowest professional Terrans out there. He has to find smarter rather than just microing harder ways of facing off against Protoss, whereas herO has led the charge. Pun somewhat intended, if you would, in essentially in finding new and creative ways to not successfully wall off. That's what I meant. herO, well known for his inability to complete a wall off, and it seems on this new map. Well, by the way, I've been playing it on stream for a while, so I don't really register it as that new. Just preparing to bring you the best commentary, of course, and complaining. But Hard Lead is a relatively standard map. You've got your options for 3rd and 4th bases, medium-sized rush distance, some watchtowers off to the side. Oh, and there's the Cyclone, the first thing we have to address for the new balance patch. We're going to do the highlights here real quick. The Cyclone is now about halfway in between the Cyclone of... it still has the lock-on ability. It has a lot less damage, somewhat less HP, less armor, less supply, and no longer requires a tech lab is a big part of it. So the Cyclone is a more kind of mid-tier, almost serves the role somewhat of a marauder in the unit composition, and very importantly can be built off of reactors. There's a lot of new options for it, though it still maintains its ability to lock on and attack air units, and opens up more opportunities to use a reactor factory instead of being forced into a tech lab. On the other hand, for Protoss, Guardian Shield now lasts a little bit longer. Shield upgrades at the higher levels are... the level 2 and 3 shield upgrades are somewhat cheaper. The Disruptor now costs 4 supply instead of just 3, and the way it's set up is a little more visible. You can more easily see when that Disruptor is on or off cooldown, because the model of the unit is a little smaller, so it's kind of more spread out. Well, the Cyclone has a bad time, as the Blink Stalker's already done. Blink Stalker's still a very real potential counter to pretty much everything in the Terran early game. You can keep control of the situation. No bunker here. The Cyclone was picked off easily by those Blink Stalkers. Stim is done. He's going to chase him down here. Medevacs are on the way. We've already got a Colossus in production for herO. And one more. Ooh, blinks to the side and actually manages to get the recall before GuMiho. Oh my god! And then he was gone. And when we wanted to kill him, but Widow Mines on the other side. But wait, there's more. 4 kills. One more into the main. He pulls away. The shot doesn't quite come through. Multiple observers here. Kills 5 probes. Forces a bit of lost mining time. The Widow Mine drop, though, mostly diffused here. The medevac got out, very importantly. So the summary in the early game is the Cyclone has some big changes. Another big nerf to Terran is the EMP. The radius is now 1.5 as opposed to 1.75. Very cool hologram effect there on the Thor. What if Thors could cloak? And other very scary thoughts. Marines up here. Combat shield not quite done. And a Colossus. Doesn't need extended thermal lance against uncombat shielded Marines. GuMiho having a tough time wielding those against a very active hero on the field. A couple other little things to note. I'll mention more if they start to apply to the game. But the Raven now no longer has interference matrix by default. It is instead a pretty quick upgrade, like concussive shells, but on the tech lab for a starport, so it makes it a little harder. No Ravens on the field right now, but just something to point out. As well as the mothership has been reworked somewhat. It is no longer energy-based, but instead cooldown-based, which makes it not as vulnerable to EMP, though the shields can still get stripped away. But it has a similar but somewhat different ability. I would love if we saw a mothership by the end of this, but a mothership, not a unit that I think, even with some of the changes, is going to be gracing the field very often, especially against Terran. Dark Shrine on the way. herO has successfully zoned GuMiho out. The dreaded Cyclone did not find the critical damage, and Blink Stalkers are pretty easily able to pick it off on its own. And now GuMiho sitting back. Those Marauders, +2 infantry weapons. herO is, yeah, he's got good vision. He's got a little bit of everything scattered out there. Observers, Stalkers, just making sure he knows the map is dark and full of Terrans. So making sure to take care of that. Charge done. Dark Shrine on the way. +2 ground weapons for herO. Whereas that +2 infantry is, of course, in production for GuMiho. GuMiho happy enough to sit back. Maybe let herO make a mistake, as hero's economy is not incredible. Only 69 probes at the moment, even though he's taken a 4th. Trying to move out on the map. I believe the Marines spotted this army. Yeah, it certainly has now. Somehow that probe lived. And with a sensor tower on the way, he's going to spot, well, herO has an army that he can't really deal with right now. Ghosts and Vikings, on the other hand, though, should still give an opportunity for GuMiho to fight back against the Colossi and against units on the ground. While the EMP radius is reduced somewhat significantly, it still has the same effect. One other small buff to Protoss. The Immortal Barrier now blocks EMP. Before, the Immortal Barrier would trigger when hit by an EMP, but the shields would already be stripped away. So, the Immortal can now eat 1 EMP hit if it has a barrier. It does exhaust the entire barrier because it takes the 100 damage from the EMP. Demonstrated there. Where those Stalkers get revenge, but they do have to re-shield, so we'll have to see quite an interaction. There's still... the Stalkers will have some time to shield back up. Not a huge difference. The Vikings looking for an opportunity. GuMiho's got a few tanks jammed in here. The upgrade advantage actually goes to herO somewhat temporarily. Shadow Stride for the DTs. DTs on the other side of the map. Let's see. Oh, no, they aren't. Just Zealots for now. Where are those blank DTs? He scans them. The Zealots actually get into the natural. GuMiho in a bit of a precarious position at the front, but he's cleaning up the Zealots. It's +2 weapons on either side. A tenuous position for both of them right now. This easily could tilt towards either direction. The army supplies in favor of GuMiho, but he hasn't brought them all across the map. herO going to try to smash this from multiple angles, or just run by and get some damage done with the Stalkers, dragging some of the units out of position. He sees the army, knows it's still there, but here comes herO. He's gonna attempt the flank from every side. EMP on the front lines, but shield battery overcharge is gonna keep many of those Colossi intact. The siege tanks don't know which direction to fire. The EMP does land, and the Immortals start to crumble. He actually saved one of the tanks here. Not a decisive victory at all for herO. Even with the shield battery overcharge, still struggling to really make any headway against the entrenched Terran army. Vikings take down another Colossus. Blink Stalker's moving forward. The Bio Army is tearing through the probes. The Vikings are knocking down the Colossi, but the Stalkers are essentially bullying the Bio out of the way. But GuMiho does still maintain a lot of supply. He took out 17 probes. A bunch of the Vikings are going to be chased down by the Blink Stalkers on the way across. And one more siege tank going to be taken down as well. But GuMiho is by no means in a terrible position after that. The economic damage was dealt. And herO does not really have a massive tech advantage with which to capitalize on this situation. In fact, he's going to rely on Dark Templar in large numbers to try to turn this around. This isn't that Protoss mission from Wings of Liberty, but it still could be a viable strategy to kind of retake the initiative. I do think the game kind of evens out here, but it really depends on whether these Dark Templar... He waits for a moment. The planetary finishes. And a scan, but the DTs are just slicing through it. Down it goes. Another command center right next to it, but with the DTs eviscerating that planetary fortress. GuMiho now on tenuous economic footing. The Blink Stalkers come in, snipe off a medevac, though eats a couple hits on his own front. herO, how many gateways? We're looking at only 8. Which is somewhat low for a Protoss on 4 bases, even if he did take some hits. Second robotics facility on the way. He's got a 5th Nexus as well. Over on the, let's call it the 345 position. PM or AM. Doesn't matter. Well, the Stalkers for now snipes off a Viking. More Colossi. No disruptors yet. Disruptors without a significant change. Well, the supply count is quite significant when you factor it in. Like, before, 3 supply per disruptor. If you get 8-10 disruptors in an army, which is not unheard of, that's 8-10 less supply of gateway units. So quite a nerf on that front. But herO only now opting for some of the Ruptors. Of course, Colossi are not very supply light themselves. Trying to attack into quite a concave is herO here, as there's not any Vikings, it seems, to take down the Colossi, but it does make it easy enough for the Bio Army to concentrate its fire. We got +3 ground weapons. herO is maxed out. Not much in the bank, but no reason to be waiting for too long. Archon, retargeting, recalculating. Zealot splits off. EMP on the front line. That barrier absorbs it. There. So the Immortal with a little more HP than maybe it's used to in this exact scenario, but GuMiho with a beautiful spread. There is a Disruptor in the mix here. The EMP, oh, a Disruptor shot. Going to find 2 of the Ghosts. About as high value a target as you could. And microing back, the Colossi are burning through the Bio Army. And GuMiho taps it out as herO is able to turn the tables there. And GuMiho just not finding enough. A solid execution, and in our first match cast for the new balance patch, it is herO, the victor. Well, I don't think we can read too much into that. A relatively standard early game. herO with solid Blink Stalker control, and GuMiho with his Bio Army just not nearly as confident as herO was. Even in that fight that herO didn't really win, it felt like he was the one setting up and understanding what he wanted to accomplish well before GuMiho kind of decided on his course of action. So we're gonna have to see going into game 2 on one of my favorite looking maps of the new map pool. Not to comment on the layout, but instead I think it just looks amazing. Alcyone, Cyclone, a Cyclone. Wait, no, it doesn't spell a cyclone. But you can almost spell cyclone with it. Subliminal messaging. I don't. Either way, it looks very good. It's probably a reference to something that I am an uncultured swine and do not understand. But I do love the color scheme, the general look. There are some things to note about the map as well. Here on Alcyone. I'm going with that until somebody corrects me. We've got a mineral wall here outside of the 3rd base, making it hard to really flank into that angle. There is a gold base with a split set of rocks. You can take down the rocks and pass through that area. But otherwise, the minerals are walled off. And it is asymmetrical in the sense there isn't this same setup on the other side. But instead a rich set of rich Vespine bases over to the northeast corner of the map. So I think this map will make some very interesting games throughout the new patch. Just because it isn't the standard like cut and paste symmetrical on either side. Now, of course it's symmetrical, like both players have access to the same amount of bases, but you're going to see different sorts of action on other sides of the map. The probe, bloodthirsty here from herO. See if herO not bothering with a Reaper wall here. Hasn't gone well so far. The probe. Oh, come on. Give him the dreams, and then take them away. GuMiho expanding. Quite early. Oh my god. Okay. About the max amount of time that probe could have survived without a recall. Factory in production for GuMiho. A sentry. Again, a sentry for herO. He used it for the early hallucination. A tech lab. And it... Is this a knee breaker? Now this, I was wondering if GuMiho would have anything for us. It appears he's gonna do the Marauder Cyclone. Well, I assume it's going to be a Cyclone. As the Cyclone only costs 125 minerals and 50 gas. Same cost as a Stalker. I don't know if I detailed that earlier, but that is a very significant change, and this time it isn't actually going to be a clone. It is a Hellion on the way, though impossible to tell, even if herO sends out that hallucinated Phoenix. Oh, another key point. There's quite a choke point at the watchtower in the very center of the map. So, watchtowers in the center of the map have been quite a sticking point, literally and figuratively in the past, when it comes to design. A fake oracle. Does he believe him? Does it matter? GuMiho is not acting like that's real. And, well, even if it was, he does have a Cyclone on the way. So, I think he's calling his bluff. He's just expecting herO to do the early sentry again. And the thing is, either way, there's nothing he can do about it. So, here come the Marauders. That sentry doesn't have any energy. It just used it on the hallucination there. So no Guardian Shield, no Force Field. Reaper Hellion into the main, getting some probe damage done. A single Adept. The Marauder's working on it. And the Hellion gets... Reaper Hellion gets 4 kills. Behind this, GuMiho does have an expansion. Very, very important to note. And now we might finally see some action with the clone. The Marauders. Well, Cyclone locks on. Gonna kite back one of these Stalkers. Blink is on the way. Very, very important to help deal with this force field. He gets the clone, traps a Marauder. And herO is turning things around. That little blocker there. Oh, the force field also blocking the Stalkers. But now we're going to turn to the other side of the map. The GuMiho built one Cyclone. Come on, GuMiho. You know what? Give the people what they want. They want to complain about Cyclones. But honestly, well, oh, the body block comes through. The Blink Stalkers, and he just taps out. All right. Well, okay. It just kind of abruptly ends as GuMiho's attempted Marauder Cyclone just goes up against the shield battery and a very well-prepared herO. But I do want to... I know a lot of people watch my notes on the patch. I want to make it clear. I don't think the Cyclone is necessarily overpowered. It is that changing up the core design of a unit that is a very early game unit is making it kind of hard to judge the rest of the potential patch. As for a while, we're essentially just going to have to... well, we do have this. Please cover your eyes if you're easily offended. But I believe this very much applies here so far when it comes to the patch. As we see, though, Blink Stalker's still very capable of shutting down and turning the tables on any sort of Terran aggression, especially if you have nothing to fall back to. I didn't expect GuMiho to just roll over and die there, but I don't think herO really did either. But I'm sure he'll take it. NG-Bay block. Gonna bring down multiple probes. Try to trap that SCV. 5 probes. He is not looking... he does not want to be forced to taking his third Nexus location. That leaves you so vulnerable to so many things. But instead, deems it worth it to pull extra probes. Oh, okay. Deems it worth it to pull extra probes in order to free up that space. And we'll see if it pays off. That is a lot of mining time lost. Though the engineering bay isn't free either, so. This probe, like, herO's probes are still surprisingly, like, herO is the reason people hate probes. Some really good probe micro can almost always, if not do real damage, it can do mental damage. Having a couple SCVs in the orange or the red does not do wonders for your feelings of safety and security. Factory is on the way. And we have a reactor. Will GuMiho finally give us the reactored Cyclone game that I'm sure people have been waiting for? And so have I. With GuMiho versus herO, I really did expect at least a little bit of that full Cyclone play. I just to give it a shot. No, I don't know if GuMiho's already tried it and vetoed the idea. Whoa, that SCV. Well, he does want to kite the Marines back. Can he easily pick them off? Oh yeah, we're on Oceanborn, by the way, which is our water map, which means things float up, Abyssal Reef style. If you remember, we finally have a water map again. One of our 9 maps in the map pool, by the way. That's also something to point out. This is doing a weird amount of damage. There we go. There goes another Marine ascending. Yikes, there goes about half a Marine. Thank you, herO, for demonstrating these exciting things. He just he's let out 4 Marines here. Again, GuMiho really struggling. The Cyclone is spotted. And the Adepts will be chased away for now. We've got Stim to follow it up. It's 2 racks Stim Cyclone. So GuMiho is building a second clone. And he's just building it off the no reactor, no tech lab. Obviously no tech lab. Though there is an upgrade for Cyclones for their speed. That is a much more later game upgrade. The Cyclone speed, as they are somewhat slower than they were previously. Alright, a single clone, but a second clone comes up. The Oracle driven away. And, well, 2 kills. And the Adept is having a tough time as well. Gets away. So that, I don't think he lost 3 Adepts. I think he was banking on GuMiho sitting on 1 Cyclone again, which the Oracle might be able to out DPS. I'm not actually sure about that interaction. But 2 Cyclones, on the other hand, are too much to bargain for. And now, with them in the main, the Oracles are not going to find the success. And I also got to point out, for the first time, it is not Blink, but instead a Stargate build. GuMiho notice the stasis wards here, kind of off to the edges. Another, one of my favorite changes, and I really like, is the stasis ward now has 7 vision range as opposed to 4, which brings it in line with your average ground unit for the most part. Think a little less, but is a significant boon overall. Okay, he's just gonna ignore it. I have to assume he doesn't know it's there, otherwise I think he would have tried to trigger it. Meanwhile, the Cyclones into the main. Oracles are slaughtering SCVs. And so GuMiho will have almost no economy to go back to. He's essentially all in now. As, yeah, the Oracles have burned through everything else. This was a warp gateless build as he rushed out those Stargate units. There is a Reaper wall here. The gateways themselves, I'm sure GuMiho's kind of confused. Shield battery overcharge here. The Cyclones helping a lot with the deeps. Target firing through. Shield battery, oh no, the pylon was taken down, and just like that, the economic damage equals what GuMiho took back home. Cyclones are picked up into the medevac. Marines are going flying. But it looks like the counterattack herO just doesn't have anything here. Probes just scattered to the heavens, or at least to the surface. 38 probes slaughtered. herO back under where he started with. The counter swing was far too much. And it appears GuMiho's gonna put some points on the board. At least 1 point. He doesn't get bonus points. Terrans have lobbied for that, but not at the moment. And the Oracles. Nope, he's microing against him with the clones there. And gonna get out. Able to dodge most of the hits with the medevacs there, conveniently. And a couple more. The Cyclones lock on, chase down the Stalkers without blink. They're just so much more vulnerable. And I don't think we'll see another Stargate opener out of herO. As unfortunately, it does appear well, he didn't get Warp Gate. That was so he went all in on the Stargate almost. Just not getting Warp Gate until well into building Oracles. Was it a mistake? Usually you can find that 50 gas, but herO, unfortunately, not quite getting the damage done. Well, he got the damage done. He just didn't have the defenses back at home. So, GuMiho puts one on the board, though. If I'm GuMiho, I'm not particularly confident I can replicate that level of success. As clearly herO underestimated his commitment to coming across the map. All right, walling off the front is herO. Interesting choice. Is there a Reaper cliff here? Of course there is. Probe. Doing probe things. Yo, GuMiho. Oh my god. I don't know. GuMiho's just like me. Takes way too much damage to the scouting probe. I don't know. Like, herO clearly intent on the... He's gonna kill an SCV one of these times. He's gonna do it. A Zealot is on the way. That might be part of it. Slowing down the expansion, softening things up, and the Zealot could definitely continue those efforts. There's the... Whoop! The Marine. He got a tap onto... Wait. Oh, but the probe got in. Oh my god. Is the Zealot coming across the map? The command center is on the high ground. Very, very importantly here. I don't believe GuMiho scouted. No. There's no scout. Oh my god. No, my god. He might get out. The SCV slaps down a depot. I think at least 50-50 out of spite. Did he need a depot at this time? Technically, yes. But was it just to keep the probe in? ¿Por qué no los dos? Well, Zealot. He's gonna hide it in the quarter. Another cheeky build. Or at least an attempt at one out of herO. But GuMiho, in expanding on the high ground, has definitely prevented some of the early damage. An Adept is on the way. Reactored Marines should provide enough to deal with much of this. Cyclone on the way. It is going to be a Twilight. Very incredibly likely into Blink. Yet again out of herO. A much more reliable option against those clones. The command center headed over. And now, well, there is still that zealot to contend with. It's a bit of a weird fight here. The Cyclone, I think, will skew it, though. As if he's able to get the Stalker, he can chase down the rest. And there's the Stalker being chased. Yeah, a second Stalker on the way. Gets a tap with the Zealot. Oh, even manages to lock on. Well done by GuMiho. Well, I mean, locking on is just a clicking. It isn't an active ability. It's not a disruptor, so. But still. You know what? Actually, it is kind of throwing me off because there is no cooldown on the lock-on. It just essentially is saying you to a target. Interference matrix being researched on that Raven. That slight delay, we'll see how much that ends up mattering, as it does pop out with the same amount of energy. It does just take a bit. And I don't think interference matrix is going to be a big part of the early game. Just making sure he has the option. And you have the tech lab early. That's a lot of gateways out of herO. Yeah. Wait, are those all... Wait, I take it back. He has no gates in his main. It's 4 gates at the natural. That's just kind of a weird scenario. One Stalker was taken down moments before Blank. But now Blank is completed. Alien taken out as well. I gotta say, Golden Arrow looks amazing as well. This is one of those maps. Just looks incredible. Very fitting name. Also, well, now is not the time, Winter. Now is not the time to point out the cool gold base in the bottom left corner. All right. No sightseeing. There'll be time for that later. I'm sure we'll have a 45-minute TVZ on this map. Okay, we'll sightsee then, I promise. There's the Raven. The Blank Stalker count growing dramatically. herO not going for a third, but instead trying to lay on the aggression. Second Raven on the way out. The Stalker is trying to work in either side. A couple Cyclones to help zone out. And eating some hits. Drops down auto turrets. I don't know about this one. Quite a costly exchange so far. Does snipe off the Cyclones and gets the medevac, so, and maybe even another Raven. Yeah, GuMiho very likely to lose that now. But it did cost 7 Stalkers. Oh, he did keep 1 Raven alive, but 7 Stalkers is not a tiny price to pay. He's going to keep adding on the damage. Very important to continue noting that herO does not have a third base. So keeping as much pressure as possible on the GuMiho here is paramount. Because once GuMiho gets stim and potentially medevacs is when things get very difficult for the Blank Stalkers. But so far, so good. Just kind of taking up residence at the natural. He would love to get that prism, but herO intentionally baiting him out. The siege tank is spotted, and herO will blink away after the first shot is fired. GuMiho trying to box out. Third Nexus is finally on the way for herO. No third command center for GuMiho, but he can, of course, lift his buildings. Oh, the Blank Stalkers dive in onto the siege tanks and may get them, but at what cost? So many more Stalkers going down. And 4 more Stalkers into the main. herO is spending a lot to get a lot of damage done. But he is kind of whittling down his own unit composition. So, well, he's killed many siege tanks. He's got a bunch of charge lots. Well, I assume he has a bunch of charge lots. He has no charge lots right now, but he's getting charged, so we can get charge lots. And he is still kiting GuMiho back and forth. This is so annoying to deal with. Stim is finally done. That medevac trying to stay alive. Stalkers blink back. Marines will chase for now. Is there still a War Prism in the back corner? Indeed there. Oh, so beautiful. No, no. We'll wait until that TVZ for sightseeing. Stalker's still going. GuMiho just can't pin him down. At some point, I think he just goes. Combat shield about to complete. Concussive shells is on the way. Charge nearly finished as well. So herO will have options back at home. And we may be in a semi-base trade. He loses another. You don't have to build the third at the third, GuMiho. That's one of my pet peeves, is Terrans who will religiously build their third base on their third and then get it delayed by like a minute or two because one unit can delay it instead of just building it on the high ground. A scan forward, GuMiho. He sees quite a dangerous army. We'll move into position, and a siege tank may get picked off as well. This is not a great scenario at all for GuMiho. Interference Matrix is used. He will just chase it down, though. He Interference Matrix the Archon. May get the Immortal. You can't pick it up when it's locked down like that. The other Immortal should be saved. He gets it. But herO bleeds out some of his units to start. Still, though. Oh, some of the boys are on the... Where are you going? They got the wrong. They're using Apple Maps over here. I don't know what is going. He triggers the barrier with the boys, and we're going into another base trade. Base trading at Terran is always a bit of a dicey endeavor. The boys are somewhat distracted. herO's going to do a lot of damage on GuMiho's side of the map. There's not that much in the main. He's going to try to whittle down the Stalker and Zealot count, but there should be enough to break through. The Warp Prism is here. The Marauders, well, most of them will be picked up and get out of the base. And GuMiho going to try to reposition and bring the rest of the army back to save the day. After, ideally, he recalled one Immortal. Oh, no. Oh, but that means he can't recall the main army. He's going to run out of buildings. GuMiho is in flight. He's on the way over. And the single Immortal recall, a bit questionable. I don't know if he could have gotten his whole army back. He's going to chase down the orbitals. Did a probe? A probe got out. A probe, but he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough for a Nexus. Oh, no. It's a bit of a disaster here. I think, well, GuMiho is quickly drawing to the point where he can't lose. herO has a Nexus in the bottom left. Never mind. GuMiho very much can lose if he doesn't scout this. Though 52 probes have died. How many more probes are in the main? He actually got a lot of probes out. I don't know how the probes all got out, but the Terran, this is happening. Oh, that looks great. Stop with the sightseeing. Beautiful contrast there. The burning Terran, red Terran buildings over the blue ground, and the Stalkers firing at them, trying to bring them down. herO does have an expansion. Technically, GuMiho does as well. Which is now literally floating across the entire map. Alright, GuMiho still has a tough army to beat. A whole bunch of Marines and Marauders. The Medivacs are nearly out of energy. Unfortunately, that energy upgrade on the Fusion Core not going to be kicking in for this series, I don't think. Well, we still potentially have another game, but herO is... GuMiho lands his command center, scans, and spots the Nexus. So GuMiho still has a good shot here of potentially closing in and getting the damage done. But herO is rebuilding. He's got the Blink Stalkers. He's got a Warp Prism. And GuMiho's Medivacs are almost entirely out of energy. He's got a good... It doesn't get better for GuMiho. He's going to just stim, try to gun down as many Marines as possible. There are still 2 Archons back there. Guardian Shield going to be used, and it looks like the DPS of the Terran army might just be too much. The bio units, the last Archon is picked off, and there's just a bit too much bio. And GuMiho will tie things up 2-2. What a game, and what a dramatic conclusion. The Terran army a bit too strong. herO may be prancing around it instead of beating it head on. And now here we are. The final match between GuMiho and herO. The first finals on the new StarCraft 2 patch. We haven't seen too much of the new patch changes showcase. The Cyclone has made a cameo appearance, but I do think we can definitely say any fears that the Cyclone might be a big, overpowered, unbeatable tool should at least be put on hold, I think is the takeaway so far. As Blink Stalkers in the right hands are clearly capable of dealing with it. Of course, Blink Stalkers in the right hand still aren't necessarily enough to stop the Terran train from rolling over with plenty of Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. herO not really respecting the danger that BioArmy poses. And never base traded Terran. You know, the real issue is their buildings can fly across the map, so that doesn't make them feel very tied to any certain location. As you saw there, GuMiho sending the boys out, not even really caring what direction they went, just that they were in the general vicinity of the army. Double gas. Ooh. Interesting. GuMiho going with a high-tech build to start. herO is walling off. Oh, we're on my personal favorite of the new maps, Hecate. I looked it up. All right, that's how you say it. It's like the goddess of illusion, I think. You know what? Maybe we need to look it up again. But another incredible looking map. One of the Team Liquid map contest finalists. Very excited. Just like, it mixes it up. What I really like about the new map pool, just all the layouts and kind of the format notwithstanding. I do like having 9 maps. I think that's very interesting. But there's a lot of variety in the different types of maps, from the bottom of the ocean to a alien forest to what looks to be like a manicured garden on the last map, to your generic-ass space station, which we do have a couple of those, so I look forward to that. Equilibrium is the one you'll be looking for. Gotta have balance somewhere. Well, well, well. Here we are, Mr. Cyclone. No motherships yet. herO has not quite made it that far up the tech tree. It's going to be another sentry opener with a Twilight immediately behind it. So using that sentry for mostly hallucination early. One of the most reliable ways to scout into the Terran base when they shut the door in your face and flaunt their ability to do so in general. To the Adept Shade who like nudges up against it and tries to peer inside through like its ethereal eyes and can't really see anything, and then you accidentally don't cancel the shade, and the Adept just dies seeing exactly the same thing. And finally, GuMiho breaks out the reactor clones. Though not rushing it, make sure he has some of those bio units early. And, whoop, Hallucinated Phoenix is intercepted by the Cyclone. GuMiho-honed. Working title. Yeah, Cyclone trying to do... Don't talk to me or my friend ever again. The Cyclone. The bouncer there for the Adept Shade. Making sure he could see it. It is going to be blank, though. And so far, those well-controlled Blink Stalkers have been more than enough. More than a match for the relatively fragile clones. With nothing to really cover for them. Alright, Reaper is spotted. GuMiho has to be very careful. If he attacks too early with the clones, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Thank you to GuMiho. Oh no! The Adept Shade got in. He's gonna spot it. That's a lot of information for herO. Knowing that this is indeed reactor clones, I think gives him a lot of latitude here with when to pick a fight. There's no real reason to put yourself out there. You need to make sure Blink is always ready to blink away. GuMiho is gonna go mech. I think he realizes at this stage that, well, herO has spotted it. There's no real chance of any sort of all-in being particularly effective. He's got a third command center on the way. A Dark Shrine for herO. We do get our... the first initial exchange here. One Stalker went down. He's going to try to blink out of the clones. The damage output is quite dramatic. The Cyclone's more than enough to drive back the first group of Blink Stalkers there. Now, it is going to take some adjustment, but Cyclones do cost the same as Stalkers. Now, it can't exactly be a 1-to-1, but if you trade approximately 1-to-1, you should be alright as a Terran in this scenario. And, of course, those Stalkers can't easily get repaired. Picks off a Cyclone, takes some damage, but is able to blink away before too much is dealt. And a Dark Shrine is on the way. And I don't think GuMiho is really prepared to deal with that. Blue Flame Hellions in production, even though no Hellions even being produced at the moment. He's going to try to blink directly into the main. He goes straight for it. He's actually going to fight this outright. There is going to be a timing when the Cyclone... He's ghetto blinking out of the lock-ons, trying to blink out, and just taking out the add-ons, definitely helping hamstring GuMiho here. Dark Templar being warped in. We'll see. There is, I believe, a single scan ready. Well, GuMiho realized the DTs are here. A scan into the main. He gets 2 of them. There's 1 at the natural. He gets a 3rd, but it will cost him the siege tank and a couple clones. In fact, almost gets the observer there. So, and the Blink Stalkers against the clones here. Blink Stalkers on the open field, definitely going to trade well, as the Cyclones cannot pursue without risking themselves. Great micro out of herO. Another DT comes in, delays things. The DT is making things very difficult. No Raven here for GuMiho to work with. And another DT into the main. This one actually fights and beats a Cyclone, though it was a close one at that. And GuMiho struggling on both fronts. There's still a DT just wailing away on a depot in the main. herO has taken a 3rd Nexus throughout this. And that means, well, he's starting to grow his advantage. The DTs were not the game breaker here, but certainly have tilted things in herO's direction. And GuMiho really struggling to get that mech army online. Again, his add-ons will be uninstalled. Again, he has to deal with Blink Stalkers in the main. And again, herO compounds his lead with some really solid Blink Stalker micro. Hellions on the other side. A setup to try to deny him, but the probes are actually in the way. This is good probe damage. And the oh, the force field locks the Protoss army out instead of the other way around. 10 probe kills. In fact, might even get one. Ooh. In that, just like that, with the force field actually helping out GuMiho. I don't think he's necessarily out of the woods here. Especially if he's gonna walk out into what is herO's army. He's even getting the Cyclone speed upgrade, which I forget the name. I feel like I think it's Typhoon. Oh no, the Blink Stalkers! Who cares about names right now? Oh, well. Oh, he's just dead. GuMiho, clearly not enthused with how his first real attempt at mech went here. Unfortunately, he walked out. We're denied how that game may have played out as herO. The smiling assassin blinks in, cracks a smile, and absolutely slaughters GuMiho, just beheads him before he can get going. So, our very first finals on the new patch. I don't think we saw too much of the developed meta. I will say, overall, herO is considered a much better player than GuMiho. At a significantly higher rank, but it was a bit of, I think both players really kind of finding their footing. herO trying to narrow down things like, can I go not Blink Stalkers? No, okay, Blink Stalkers. GuMiho trying different variations on the Cyclone. Interesting to see, and I think at the very least, and from my experiences on the new patch so far, we can say the Cyclone is not necessarily overpowered. It is a dramatic shift that's going to make it hard to judge what the later game looks like, and it will take some time, as is customary, to kind of settle, especially with such a dramatic change to the early game. But the jury's still out, I think. Though an interesting series nonetheless. Congratulations to herO, your very first victor on the new patch, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope I made your day a little bit better. It'd be awesome if you have the means and motivation to check out both the Korean StarCraft 2 League and, Patreon over here. But otherwise, Thank you for watching, and either way, like, subscribe. I'll see you next time. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck, have fun. Stay tuned.